It's that time again. End of the season. Time for me to talk about all the shows that I've been watching for the past couple of months. Now, if you don't want to watch the entire thing, or if you're looking for like specific shows, I'm gonna leave the timestamps in the description below, so you can go look there. I'm gonna go ahead and say spoiler warning for pretty much all of them because I'm just gonna give my opinion on them as I go, and I'm not gonna really think too much about it. So there may be spoilers, there may not be, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give the warning now. So typically I will pick one or two shows to binge watch whenever I have free time, like shows from past seasons that I may have missed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with those.
私もおっちょこちょいね。
All right, let's start off with an interesting one here. I am kind of on the fence about how I feel about this show. On one hand, the story is kind of lackluster, and I guess would be a way to put it. Like there are underpinnings of like a bigger story that get put in, but nothing really comes out of it. Like stuff happens, but at the same time, nothing happens. If that makes sense. uh, I think the reason for that is it's just an hour long. Like it's a super short OVA basically. Crunchyroll has it separated out into 3 episodes, but it's basically just an hour long. And because of that, there's just not enough time to like build up a big story. So it kind of comes off to me like after watching it all as like just not a whole lot happened. But the part that made me like want to keep watching, the part that basically had me captivated, is the art style. I tried to pick a clip at the beginning there to show it off just a little bit, to kind of show what I mean. But it this is gonna be a terrible terrible way of putting this. It seemed to me like it was like CG kind of, and I know that's instantly a red flag. I am probably with everyone else on this of wanting to throw up in your mouth as soon as you like even think about any kind of bad CGI. I've dropped so many shows that I started off liking, and then it started throwing in bad CG, and I instantly hated it. But this one comes up different. This one, I think the problem with bad CG is that it doesn't blend well. Like it's very obvious that the CG doesn't mix well with the rest of the art style. But with this, you can tell it uses the same style, uses the same color palette, and it blends together really well. And it was I don't know if I've like seen a show do that before. So this was interesting to watch. If just for that alone. So if because it's short, I mean, if you're looking for something to just pick up and watch real quick, this isn't a bad choice. Just go in expecting the story to be okay at best and the art to be amazing.
でっか、おっきい、すごい。でかすぎ。
Was that a dick joke?
なんて巨大な。あら困っちゃう。
That was a dick joke. So I'm pretty excited to talk about this one. This show is a 10 out of 10 for me, to be honest. And which I don't say lightly. I try to reserve like the top for shows that are just absolutely amazing or shows that change my point of view, which this show did. I don't want to like rehash everything I said in my last video, but to kind of quickly sum it up here, basically I had a prejudice against like older shows. There's really no other good way of saying it. And this kind of helped me change my mind on that. So the story is a bit wacky, I guess. Like they start off digging tunnels underground, and then by the end of the show, they're fighting God in the 10th dimension or something. But for the most part, it makes sense. Like each step along the way, they're just building up. Except for the last part where they pretty much fly into space for the first time and end up fighting a super being using literal galaxies to smack each other in the face or whatever face you have in that dimension. But throughout the story, they're pretty much making advances by stealing alien technology, which, let's be honest, we would do the exact same thing. But one thing that the show does that I really like is all of the bad guys in the story have at least somewhat of a valid reason for what they do. Not that I would make the same decision or that that I agree with the decision that they made, but I can at least understand like why they did what they did. I hate when shows just throw in a bad guy and it feels more like they just threw in someone evil because they needed a villain. This comes off more like the Paragon route versus the Renegade route. And I'm not saying like every decision fits into this or every person fits into this, but just like the overall story kind of comes off that way, at least to me. And the characters are amazing. Kamina is the fucking man. I believe in the Kamina that believes in me. He is like headstrong testosterone in human form. I feel like a lot of shows struggle to get to this level of manliness and still make the character likable, but he just exudes so much confidence that you just want to follow him. Shimon or Simon or whatever word you want to use. Honestly, I would normally use Simon, except I just heard Shimon so much that it's just stuck in my head now. But I've loved seeing his like progression. At the beginning, he was just a scared kid, and then like, halfway through, he turned into an angry and broken kid. But then we have the time skip where we see him grow as a character. Well, we don't see it, but we see the after effects of him growing as a character, and you can definitely tell that he took that drama, that the trauma, not drama, the trauma that happened to him as a kid, and he grew, and now he has a lot of confidence in who he is now. And I just like seeing that kind of like character progression. And Yoko was such a good addition to the team. She tried to be the rational one for the other two, but with Kamina in the group, that was always going to be an uphill battle. I do have like a weird conspiracy theory idea for her. I think, okay, in the show, we see the two times that she kisses someone, and then like almost immediately after they go and they die. So my conspiracy theory is that she is like some assassin who marks her targets by kissing them. I know this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's my headcanon. But there's so much that I could say over like so many other characters and all other things that are in the show. But I don't want to sit here and talk for hours about it. My voice is already not handling this all very well. So I'm just going to conclude this by saying, go watch the fucking show.
将棋が強くて
そうだろうそうだろう
その上可愛いですし
That pretty much describes the show. You don't need to know anything else. The show's fine. There's nothing super great about it, but there's also nothing super bad about it either. Like it's just two high schoolers that like each other but won't confess with some comedy thrown into it. There's a lot of like it heavily revolves around shogi, which I probably would have liked the show more if they would have shown more of the actual game because it's more of like a background piece than anything. But I also kind of expected that. Like I didn't come in expecting this to be a like shonen about chess, have a fucking sports anime. Um, but I'm really trying not to talk this down too much because I'm a little spoiled on like Kaguya-sama, where it has like amazing comedy and romance like mixed together. This definitely isn't up to that level, but I think if you like the genre more than me, this might actually be a good show. It's just for me personally, it's fine at best. Man, this night sky looks amazing. Honestly, this kind of makes me want to go outside and stargaze. Man, what the fuck? I was pretty much hooked on this by the first episode. Like the whole concept spoke directly to me. I would much rather be out at night rather than during the day. Like partially because my vampire ass burns in any sort of direct sunlight, and partially because I am a night owl. I am more awake at night than I am during the day, and it's just so much nicer. Like there's no people, there's no traffic. The whole atmosphere of being out at night is just more calming. Maybe I am a vampire. But this show was a really good in concept, and my only real complaint for like the entire show was uh, there was kind of a dip in the middle. Like they set up the concept, they kind of kept going with it, and then at some point in the middle, they it for me, it kind of turned in like a slice of life kind of thing where they were just going about their business basically. And then the end of it, they actually remembered like, oh, we have stakes that we need to put in here. It may not have actually been that way. May have just been my own perception of while I was watching it, but and it's still not even that bad. Like I still enjoyed watching the entire thing, even if it did kind of have that little dip there in the middle. Again, it's just in comparison to the beginning and the end. I think there was a little bit of a dip, but anyway, I can't really talk about this show without talking about Creepy Nuts. Like they are Creepy Nuts is to Call of the Night what the Pillows were to Fooly Cooley, if you've seen that show. But the bandage their whole songs are just so good at setting the mood for like the entire show. They just really get you like into it. And I have been listening to their songs constantly since starting watching this. I swear, anime gets me into watching or listening to just random bands and music from Japan. I This is pretty much how I find the music that I listen to. Anyway, it's a good show, and if you're into hip hop or rap, then go check out Creepy Nuts. Cute girls and guns. My American ass couldn't pass up on this one. Okay, but I did actually like this show. There's a kind of a unique concept of young, cute girls fighting off evil. Okay, maybe that's not a unique concept, but this time they had guns. But I mean, what really carried this show was the relationship between Chisato and Takina. I mean, we see their friendship start, and we see it like grow throughout the series to the point where you can like see and feel the anger and sadness that Takina had just trying to save her friend, or just doing anything that she can to try to save her. And Chisato basically trying to convince her that she just wants to go out on her own terms. And it was such a heartfelt moment. So good. But the and there's a typical like anime bullshit stuff that they have to throw in there, like her having her special abilities where she can dodge bullets and shit. And then the main bad guy, what's his name? I've already forgot his name. Majima. Yeah, close enough. His ability of being able to have like super hearing, but somehow is just protected from like gunshots in a closed room. You can tell these motherfuckers haven't like shot a gun before. But whatever. It's Japanese stuff. I kind of expected that. Yeah. I guess that's all I really want to say. It's a good show. Go watch it.
ハーブティーはいかがでしょうか坊ちゃま坊ちゃま坊ちゃま Sounds like 坊ちゃま
All right. Bringing in everybody. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, and I must confess. I started watching this because there was a hot maid. I'm not proud of it. That's just the truth. I judged this book by the cover, and I regretted it. I was just so bored watching this. The whole premise of the show was a little suspicious, but I you watch like one episode, maybe not even the whole episode, and you pretty much understand everything that's going to happen. It just gets so repetitive. I was done with it like halfway through. And another confession here, I haven't finished it yet. I've still got like 2 episodes left. I can't imagine it's going to change my mind in those last 2 episodes. So I'm just going to go ahead and say my opinion now. I just skip it. Don't worry about the show. It's not good.
餌を潰す。あるいは黒幕ごとまとめて潰す。
Kiyotaka here to represent those of us with the disease known as resting bitch face. All right, so in the first season, they kind of set up the premise of him being like the mastermind, the genius who works behind the scenes to get things done. And in the season, they kind of showed it off, but I didn't really feel like it was all that great. Like in the beginning of the season, his big contribution was basically just getting Suzune off of her ass so that she could go do stuff. And then the later part of the season, he basically just went and kicked some people's asses. Don't get me wrong. I really like that those fight scenes. Like a comment that I saw about it was that it was realistically messy, um, which doesn't sound like much of a compliment, but it was really well done because of how messy it looked. Basically, it's kind of hard to describe. But as much as I liked it, that's not the whole that's not the reason that I watched this show. Like I like the original premise of the show, and that's what I kind of wanted. And it's not like they threw it off the table or anything for this season. They still had it. They just didn't meet up to the hype that I had and the expectations and all that. So maybe I just need to lower my expectations for the next season. But I still like this season. I still like it. Don't get me twisted here. It's still good. So if you like the first season, you'll like the season.
めっちゃ嗅いでくる。
失礼するよ。
Oh, this is not gonna be good.
この入れ墨。生傷も新しいな。赤子。不可能。
How the fuck do they know that? God fucking damn it. Who's ready to torture some kids? But if you like the show, you are fucked in the head. Just like me. Seriously, I don't know many other shows that get me to question myself and whether I need to go see some like therapist. But here we are. Okay, if you've seen the first season, you're gonna like the second season. One fair warning here, if you haven't seen it, there is one movie that you do need to watch. It is, I think they made 3 movies. I could be making that up off the top of my head. But they made a couple movies that were basically just the first season in movie form. No idea why the fuck they did that. But the last movie was actually what happened in between the first season and the second season. And if you don't watch that, you're going to be missing out on some information there. So don't skip that one. And unfortunately, I don't remember what name it is. Maybe I'll put that on the screen once I look after I look it up. But for this season, I really like the way they told the story, cutting back and forth between the past and the present. It's been a while since I've read the manga, but I don't think they made multiple cuts back and forth. I think they just cut to the past, told the complete story, and then cut back to the present. But I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've read that. I like the way they did it in the anime because they basically told enough of the story for each section and then cut back and forth between each. And it kind of did a better job of like building anticipation throughout the entire season. There wasn't really a whole lot because they were cutting back and forth between the past and the present. There was a lot less interaction between like the main trio that we've been following this whole time, which I'll let you decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But one of the newer characters, Bakuta, I don't know who her voice actor is. I'm gonna put it up on screen because she needs a goddamn raise. I don't know how much she's being paid, but she needs to be paid more because the like level of emotion that she displayed while like angry crying, like angry yelling, I guess, was like just top notch. It was so good. But if you've seen the first season, you're gonna like this season. Go watch it. If you haven't seen the show at all, and you're not you're a little fucked up in the head, you'll like the show. Otherwise, don't watch it.
死を望んでもしばらくは殺さないようにともな。
Bone Daddy is back, and this time they have gotten rid of the bad CG, or at least most of it. This is how traumatized I am. I don't remember if last season or the season before is when they had like the really bad CG. All I know is that I about want to throw up anytime I think about it. But this season they reduced it down to an acceptable level at least. Now the beginning of the season is pretty much the same old, same old. He is basically just extending his reach out into the world through mostly diplomatic means. But by the end of the season, he's pretty much just said, fuck it. My man Ainz has taken what's essentially a slap on the wrist and went and just destroyed an entire country for it. And I am here for it. Ainz has been pretty cautious since the beginning, but he's been getting more and more bold as the seasons kind of go on. So I think the more that he kind of steps out, the more the rest of the world will see how absolutely terrifying he and his underlings are, which should attract the attention of some more interesting villains. I haven't read like the manga. I have no idea. This is just a guess on my part. But the this season propelled the story a lot more than what I was expecting based on like past seasons. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens from here. And that's everything that I watched for this season. Feel free to let me know if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. Or if you think that I have missed a show that I should have watched, feel free to put that in the comments and I'll either look into it or I'll tell you why I didn't waste my time with it. Anyway, that's it. See ya.